now we will head into the second webinar that focuses on mobility recognition. And I do not want to impose any stereotypical thinking about you, so I will only briefly introduce it, and then we will break out into rooms again to stimulate a discussion. So from the perspective of EU, there are very many programs that stimulate the mobilities, but as we have seen, there is a tendency after the COVID era that students and professors do not want to travel anymore because they are so versed to the hybrid mode of operation. As you can see, some more experts have joined us, and I'm doing an introduction, and then we will have breakout rooms, and there are 3. Maybe Eveke, can I ask you to join the group that is sitting outside? Thank you. That would do excellent job. And mobilities, from my perspective of Wisdean for international relations, and as a linguist or somebody working with foreign languages, how do you want to learn about the culture, the language of which you are speaking, if you do not have the first-hand experience? It's not only a question of learning the skills that are specific for your discipline or study program, but we have agreed with my colleagues that if you go on mobility, new horizons open to you, because maybe for the first time in your life, you're on your own, you're in a different culture, you are in a different society, you are at a different institution. Yet, when I entered office, students were reluctant to travel for a semester to do an exchange stay because they complained that the system did not fully acknowledge all the credits, let me put it so bluntly, the credits they earned abroad, which caused that they had to prolong their study time here. That is the number of years they spent at university by 1 year, or at least by semester, which has financial consequences. Although we here in the Czech Republic, since we are a public university, we do not have any tuition fees, but we have living costs attached to it. So I will now divide you into breakout rooms. And if you can share the people that are joining us online, what kind of difficulties you face, what is like the burning issue at your institution, and we might share our experience and how we try to overcome it. Okay, so give me a minute to do it technically. Okay, open all rooms. I will assign people. I've already got the practice, so yeah. I do a lot of hybrid teaching, as you can see. Okay, so welcome back to our room number 1. And the floor is open again for your worries, issues, anything you want to share and that we might respond to. And this thing rotates as we speak, so yeah. So all is heavenly with your mobilities?
Oh, I wish. Hello, this is Diana Viva from the Professional College of Tirana. Nice to meet everyone, and thank you for the organization of the webinar. I'd like to mention that since the Professional College of Tirana is focused only on 2 years vocational education with 120 credits, and actually we have not had mobilities of students that they would undertake courses, whether one or more courses or a semester abroad. But they have indeed traveled for internship in companies that have taken place for 2 weeks, 1 month, and 3 months. And during this time, they have been working in companies in different countries of the European Union based on the project that the Professional College of Tirana is a part. Actually, their internship lasted for 1 month or 3 months, depending on the project they were associated with. Well, the official internship at the Professional College of Tirana actually lasts only 6 weeks. And it happens in the end of the second year. Besides that, for all of the subjects, almost all of them, except for some courses like English, for example, or math, we don't have laboratory classes, which are practice hours. All the other do have practice classes. So what we did when the students returned from 1 month or 3 month internship, we had to do the matching between the time period they spent abroad and the time period they were supposed to spend here in Albania, in a business, in an industry, or even in the government, working in practice. From one point of view, we were from the lucky side, because instead of 6 weeks, they have done 3 months already. And what we did, despite this discrepancy in timeline, which was actually in the best interest of the students, however, we had to consider what work they have done in the company. For example, if the IT guy really worked in IT there, really he learned something about IT, about computer, about, for example, database or programming. So actually, if he was here in Albania, we would take his documents and see what he has done in the Albanian company. That's what we did also for the work that he had done abroad.
Okay.
I may not say it was the easiest process of all. First of all, we had also needed to have the collaboration of the hosting companies that were abroad, that they also needed to fill documentation. They also needed to be accurate when filling this documentation, even giving some examples of what the student had learned or how he or she had behaved. So basically, from our point of view, of course, it was time taking. Of course, it was a new experience, and there were time to time we were having different questions. Of course, there were discrepancies, like it was more time there, it was less time here. As an overall, it was a process that, of course, was engaging for all of the professors that had to take part in it. So I think the thing that helped us, that made this process a bit easier, was the fact that we relied on what the student really did there, kind of learning outcomes from the mobility. Because it helped, like comparing the process, like saying it was comparing apple to apple and oranges to oranges, more or less.
Okay. May I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
Has it occurred that actually you're sending your students for those, I guess, obligatory internships, and they return and the learning outcomes, that is the expectations, are not met? Because it happened here that, say, a psychologist was sent to a counseling services, and actually they were not allowed to meet the client, and all that they were doing, and I'm exaggerating only very slightly, is they kept making coffee and copies in the clinic, not doing the professional kind of job that they were expected to. Have you encountered anything like that?
We have encountered it, but not for many days. It was in the very beginning when we sent students, since they were going to be there for 3 months, and especially for the guys working mostly in IT. They were part of some studio, let's say, and since they had this newcomers being as an intern, and they time to time were giving orders to him like, can you please make coffee for the people participating in the meeting, etc. Actually, our students are a bit wide-mouthed in the good sense of it, and since this issue started, they complained to us as a standing organization. And of course, I, as a standing organization, complained to the organizer and to the host company, telling to them that he is not there to serve coffee or to give cookies to the participants. So for 1 week or for some certain days, we have faced this situation. But for the rest of it, it has been all good. And even some of the students have been working there for long hours, and when they were returning home, they were really tired, actually.
Okay. That's live. I thought there was a technical problem in the other session, but it's only our photographer who entered.
Okay.
Okay. Have you dealt with any similar situation that you have sent your students to a mobility and the receiving institution was not doing its job? Like, what was agreed on? Any of you?
Well, I'm not that involved in mobility myself, but if I understand it correctly, we're also talking about mobility for internships.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I would like to ask the question whether you work with a database of companies that are approved so that you know or you guarantee that this is not going to happen, so that there's a sort of a quality assurance process in relation to the companies, the organizations where you send your students for this internship. So it might happen once, but if it's something that is not corrected after the first few weeks, like the colleague is saying, do you keep that company on offer for your students? So how does that work? Do you work with a database, or do students find their own internships and you need to wait to see if that works well or not?
AI, yeah. May I answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. There are two things. If we are considering the internship that they do here at the end of the second year, 98% of the cases, that relation is ensured from the college. So it is the college who finds the industry or the business. There are just a few cases when students come from family that have their own enterprise or their own business, or there is an aunt or an uncle running an like service, like for example, a car service or a company operating an electrician or air conditioning. And he says, I would be more comfortable if I do the internship in my own company. Well, for those internships that take place out of Albania, that are related to the EU project that we have been part, all the internships were secured from the organizer in the hosting country. It was the organizer who found the companies. Some of them were private business, and some of them were even state-owned companies where our students work. For example, we had the case of one of our students who worked in Poland, and he worked in a town where even the hot water was secured from the municipality. And our student had the internship there, and he said, I am not allowed to take pictures inside because it is confidential. And when he sent pictures from the internship, it was only outside the building showing, this is the building where I work, but inside the office, I am not allowed to.
Okay, if I may return to what Claudia, our colleague from The Hague, by the way, was sharing, the quality assurance. And that is our piece of advice to the countries outside EU, because we do send our students not only for study stays abroad, but for the practical training, or call it internship. And in the past, they could freely choose, but we would only after their return find out whether or not the expectations were met. So in terms of quality assurance, what we did is we asked the company where they are to be sent to enter a number of details into our system, and only after it is approved by the institution, and maybe we pay a visit to it prior to our sending the student there, can the mobility or the internship be recognized towards their diploma? And that's why we try to avoid, in that way, we try to avoid misunderstandings or low quality training and stuff like that. Okay, my question might be, do you have mobility windows in as a part of your accredited study programs? Yes or no, and why yes or no?
What do you mean with mobility window? Like it is a condition against which we are evaluated?
No. Mobility window is by the EU authorities described as, for example, you have the BA bachelor level studies. The whole study program should take 3 years to complete, and 1 semester is set aside so that the students can do their exchange. So, like, we plan the curriculum and the courses in such a way that they are not obliged to stay at our home institution because of prerequisites and sequence of courses, but that they say can in their 4th semester of study go abroad, fulfill some of the optional courses usually there, and bring the credits home and then continue. So like the exchange experience is inherently inbuilt already into the study program. That's how we understand mobility window. Yeah, Atke?
Yeah. Uh, we didn't call it mobility window, but as an example, we have it. We have a collaboration agreement with an institution from Portugal, which we made it quite similar way. That in the last semester, for example, master students can go there as a mobility and financed by them. It's Erasmus uh, International Credit Mobility. Uh, which in this form we managed to make a double degree. So in the end, they go in that's as you said in the 4th semester. They make their research there. Also, if any subject miss, they fulfill it. And when it comes the time to defend the thesis, they may decide who wants to be uh, the mentor from Portugal or from Kosovo, and they decide. The students decides. Also, we make a common commission in which he or she defend the thesis, and in the end, he or she gets another diploma from Portugal. So in this way, we make a double degree. But we don't have something like that as you mentioned, mobility window, but it looks like quite similar, like practically.
Mhm.
And when it comes to the first question that you asked about any issues about mobilities, for example, I guess it's unevitable, but we have to adapt somehow. Is that, for example, in the meantime, when students went abroad, in the meantime, the university has some kind of changes. And also, we have in the learning agreement here, we have to sign that we accept, or we have to sign the approval of exceptional changes in the learning agreement. So this is something that students faces, let's say, out of the contract. We didn't know that it will happen like that, and then this is the hardest part to manage. That now we have to tell to the student that when you come back, you have to fulfill also some exams here because there were some unexpected changes. this may be uh, that obstacle, that hard part in this case. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone want to react to that? I don't want to take the floor, but yesterday I finished the methodology for that particular aspect of mobilities, and it will be like a norm of the university. Unexpected changes, because before mobility, they do the learning agreement. And it's really an agreement. Two parties agree that in one column, you have the domestic, let's call it for simplicity reasons, the domestic courses that they are expected to take. And in the right-hand side column in the learning agreement, they have the subjects or courses they are not willing, but that they will take at the receiving institution. Yes, it may come to a situation that when they arrive, maybe for scheduling reasons, maybe for medical reasons, the course does not open and they have to change. But unless the changes are officially approved by the sending institution, and that's coming back to quality assurance again processes, these will not be recognized upon their return, because I set as a rule that at least 50% of the chosen courses must be directly related to the study area that they do at their home institution. I think it's quite liberal that we say only 50%. Some institutions say 70 or 80%, but we want to give them freedom to have like a taste of other disciplines, a taste of the country. So maybe going to Spain, they will take some Spanish classes or classes in Spanish history. And although they may not need it for their degree in philosophy, it is enriching, right? But if we approve of it, when they return, it's counted towards the diploma. They are not losing time. But we tell them you're signing the agreement for good reasons, because it is a guarantee by our institution that we will recognize it. If we do not sign it, then we are not obliged to recognize it. And now we are in the process, and my colleague is sitting in the adjoining room, in the process of reviewing and renewing international partnership agreements. My faculty has 442 of them as of today. And we really look into the quality of the institutions, because if we have had a bad experience with them, simply we do not sign a renewal. And I think it's not the question of the number of agreements that we have, but the quality of the agreements. So my advice would be, do not hunt for the high number of agreements, but for quality partners. Okay, any other issues connected with mobilities or any aspect?
Just one question, if it's possible, for Professional College of Tirana.
Yes, sure.
How they handle the process of the mobility? How is how to say treated, like a internship or the study mobility with universities or higher education institutions?
It is treated as an internship in companies, because they do not go to schools there. They always go to business, to industry. They work in different companies there. So as far as they don't take a course, in a school, it is treated as internship because in our curricula, internship is mandatory and it has 7 credits. So the placement in company that he would have to have here in Tirana, we have it back in a EU country.
Once again, this one, last one.
So as part of the curricula of our study program, the professional practice is a course. It has 7 credits, but it doesn't happen in the college. The moment that this professional practice starts, all students are delivered in business and industry all around Albania. In our partnership network, it might be in Tirana, it might be in different towns, but mostly they are located in Tirana. For a given number of students who have applied based on a selection process and an interview process to have this internship performed in an EU country, because we have had this opportunity from the EU projects where we are part, these students do not do this in Tirana or in Albania, but they do it abroad in a business that it is located. They have been so far in Hungary, in Slovenia, Slovakia, Poland, Belgium, and Italy.
But it's on voluntary basis, right?
Sorry?
It's on voluntary basis, and who covers the expenses?
They are all covered from the EU project that we are part.
Okay.
So we tell to the students, we make an open call for that it is the possibility to have internship placement in a company under this project, under this call, all your expenses are covered, and if you want, you may apply, and we provide them a link to apply. The student applies, then we make the selection from the pool of the students. From the people that we have selected, we make an interview process because we want to see how their skills in English language, for example, or their behavior. And after that they are selected, we tell to them that you are the winner and they are entitled to take the mobility.
And can they do mobility within the higher education institutions, or is it only in industry? Since you
It is
are
only in industry.
So not in higher education
No,
institutions.
so far they have not done it in higher education. They have been in study visits there for 2 weeks. For example, they visited our counterpart partner in Greece, ACME, which is like the Professional College of Tirana, offering only 2 years professional study program, but it was only a study visit. So they went there, they saw how lectures were done, how exams were done, but they didn't take any specific course, and it only lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
So it is internship, it is placement in company.
Thank you.
Yeah, but to AAB College, to respond to your question, it's possible to do an internship within EU, within the EU key activity, Erasmus key activity 171, which is the collaboration with non-EU countries. And we do it like we have mutual projects with our partners outside EU, and they can send the students and academics and administrative staff to us, and through us, they do not stay in the academia, but they go to companies. So they go for practical training, but the practical training is guaranteed by our university. So that might be an option because we are back to the quality assurance. We would send them only to institutions that have been tested, that have been approved, and that comply with our high standards and expectations.
So that means that, for example, our students can come to your university and then they can do internship within the businesses or industry that you might think that they could fit into.
Yes,
Your partners.
yes. Even though they are foreigners, they can enjoy the network for practical training that we have for our own students, because we have equal opportunity policy, and that's why if they come for exchange, they have access to the same places and opportunities as our degree students.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Otherwise, our students are not obliged to go to mobilities since we are supposed to have agreements with universities agreements within the Erasmus Plus projects that offer mobility to our students. We have discussed this with you when we met in Olomouc. I'm sure that you already know the situation with our students. The good thing now is that we do not need visas to travel, but again, students need study visas, which are valid for, let's say, 6 months while they are there as students. But anyway, we go through the process of opening the call, and so it is based mainly on the rules that are set forth by our partners with whom we have the agreement. So not all partners have same rules that our students are supposed to apply with. And then the documentation, which is supposed to be filled in by us, let's say, differs from partner to partner. Now the so-called EWP has been established within different partners, and we still do not have Erasmus without paper, which means that we are not part of that system. We still have to go through paper documents and fill in the learning agreements, sign them, seal them, protocol them, and send them as scanned documents. But anyway, that's something different. It's important that students have the possibility now to move freely, even within the mobilities, or as you mentioned, now the possibilities to do internship in different EU countries, which is, I think, a very, very good step forward. I have one question though.
Okay.
I had a case of a student who applied for one of the mobilities, but the student suffers from schizophrenia. So since we do have students that might have different disabilities, and probably that was the first case that we met such a person, she has her illness under control. She expressed her willingness to try and go someplace abroad. Yet again, I was not very comfortable into approving the mobility for her because of her mental illness. So can you tell me, if you know from your experience, if you had any such cases, or how do you deal with cases where students might have mental illnesses? I'm not talking about physical disabilities, I'm talking about a very specific case that I had yesterday, a student with schizophrenia.
Okay. Any suggestion how to solve this?
She said she is symptom-free now, but I could not risk that situation. So how would you deal with, okay, you don't have to answer this question because I know it's a very difficult one. It was very difficult for me to try and find a way how to let her know that it's not easy to go someplace abroad on your own while you have been under supervision your whole life. So did you have cases like that, or maybe you can tell me later on in any other meeting that we might have?
Okay, any reaction, anyone?
Well, I think that
Try to speak up a little bit.
yeah, it comes down to good relationships with the partner institution, and also having the guarantee and relying that they have a good system to cater for these students as well. The moment that we also receive students with special needs and special mental conditions, and we offer them the same facilities as we offer our own students. So it is having that a trust in the other university and an open dialogue that this is going to also cover for the needs of a student should that be needed during the stay abroad period.
Yes. Actually, I dealt with a similar case last semester. It was a special needs student. And there are two aspects. If we leave out the physical disadvantaged students, because it's a totally different
It
chapter.
is, yeah.
So let us talk about the psychological problems, let's call it, or psychological needs. I had a student on exchange that came to my own class, and after 10 minutes, she left. And she came at the very end of the class. I thought maybe she had an acute health problem, but it happened, the same thing happened the week that followed. And only then she shared with me that she has anxiety problems, that she has this social fear.
Social anxiety, yeah.
Yeah, and that she cannot stay in the same room with the rest of the group. So although, and that is from the position of the academics, we are specialists in our disciplines, but we are not trained for that. And that is why I was very happy that we have this counseling special needs center. So I referred to them, and they told me what I could do. And the solution in that case was very easy. I hooked her on Zoom, and she actively participated via Zoom from the comfort zone of her own room in the dormitories. But the aspect I want to mention is that we face it only when they arrive, because they are not obliged to state it in their application. If she stated that, we could have been prepared for it, but now I faced it like really hard reality in the classroom with 30 other people sitting here. For your case of schizophrenia, there is an institute of...
Also add the social anxiety, because she has both.
Okay, there is an institute within EU, within Erasmus program, that is called Inclusion Support. And from that funds, the person can have an assistant who accompanies her or him throughout the stay. So if there is any problem, it can be a parent, okay, or any person that the special needs person is accustomed to, that goes with them to the mobility. And in that way, you as a sending institution can be at peace that the person is catered for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Maybe to add, Pavlina, to what you were saying, students are not obliged to actually state anywhere before they get to our own institution that they have certain conditions, special needs. But in a way, not our own domestic students. And sometimes you don't know there is a problem until there are signals there. So I think that's the same as with the students we receive from our partner institutions. I think everyone has a responsibility, any lecturer, any support service, to be very alert to the students and to the needs of our students, to make sure that they succeed throughout their studies and support them when necessary. So it is, we don't have to treat them differently to our own domestic students. Just be there, be alert for the signals, and then let them know, that there are support services that they can enjoy.
Yeah,
within the IB department, we have supervisors when they go to study abroad or to do internship. So we so meet with them, meet the supervisor that they have there. We have a file with all the process, and we are all the time, in communication with them. So with a student with a special need, we just ask them, if something happened, just please let us know. And if something happen, I immediately talk to the coordinator, and between coordinators, they can, take the necessary measurements. I think that as teachers, to take the responsibility, the fully responsibility of the problem like that in terms of neurodiversity is very complex, but we really need to follow certain steps. Okay, first you contact me, and then I'm gonna contact the coordinator, and the coordinator, they know how to deal with these kind of students, but we never say no to students who wants to have the experience, who says, I'm under control, I really want to try. So we are really open to support students from, our, perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, you have the methodology,
Yeah.
the procedure
Yeah.
that you can follow.
Yeah.
And that, like 2 years ago, we missed here, and the students felt lost when they encountered such a situation. So very quickly, we had to pen it down and to make it public, to post it, so that students have this knowledge of the availability. So thank you for participating in that, and let us go back to the main session to wrap up. So
Main session, Dash.
thank you very much for coming, and this is the end of the session, and we can continue sharing our experience via email or other platforms. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for organizing the webinars and for hosting us. Thank you very much, and have a splendid day.
You too.
Likewise.
Bye.
Bye.